The Invisible Man was directed by Leigh Whannell and stars Elizabeth Moss, Aldous Hodge, Storm Reed, Michael Dorman, Harriet Dyer, and Oliver Jackson Cohen. It's the remake, retelling, and reimagining of the classic Universal monsters and is a remake of the classic 1933 Universal monster film based off the story by H.G. Wells. And now Universal Studios, associated with Blumhouse Productions, is reimagining that story and retelling the story of the Invisible Man for the audience of 2020. And if you'd like to talk about this movie with me, I welcome you to do so, and I'd love for you to do so. Just comment all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below about what you think about the Invisible Man. And with all that out of the way, let's start talking about the newest Universal monster flick to get reimagined and retold for today's audiences, The Invisible Man. Whew, that was an intro. After escaping an abusive relationship, Cecilia, who's played by Elizabeth Moss, she begins to be tormented by her abuser, who she now believes has figured out a way to make himself invisible. So The Invisible Man from 1933 wasn't exactly a serious movie.
Here we go gathering nuts in May, nuts in May, nuts in May. Here we go gathering nuts in May on a cold and frosty morning.
The movie was pretty cheesy and corny about a mad scientist who figured out this formula to make himself invisible, who then goes on to torment a small village, basically by taking people's bicycles and hats and throwing them around. It's a pretty goofy movie. For 2020, Leigh Whannell, Blumhouse Pictures, and Universal Studios have taken this story and have reimagined it in a more serious light, focusing more on an abusive relationship and the PTSD that can come from that. And that aspect of the movie for The Invisible Man is what I thought worked the best for it. First of all, Elizabeth Moss as the main character of Cecilia, who has just escaped an abusive relationship from her boyfriend and is now being tormented by him as the Invisible Man, works really well. They set up her character in a really sympathetic way, and they really kind of show you the PTSD that can come from escaping and being involved in an abusive relationship such as this, and I thought that that aspect of the movie worked really well. As far as Elizabeth Moss's performance goes, I thought she was channeling a lot of Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor from Terminator 2. She gave a lot of that kind of like frustration, annoyance with everyone around her kind of performance because they don't believe what she's experiencing is real. I found a lot of similarities between Sarah Connor from Terminator 2 and Elizabeth Moss, and I thought that worked really well for the performance that Elizabeth Moss was giving. And she does have pretty good side characters supporting her throughout the movie. The standout for me, I think, was Aldous Hodge as kind of her friend James, the cop that's kind of taking care of her. I thought he was a really fun addition to the movie. I thought he brought a lot of charisma to the role, and it was a nice supportive friend for the character of Cecilia to have throughout the movie. Also, the Invisible Man stuff and how they're able to take the Invisible Man, who was kind of a mad scientist, kooky character from the original source material, and reinvent him for the audiences of today, I thought worked really well. I thought the way that they did the Invisible Man without giving too much away, I thought worked really well with the technological generation that we have entered to in today's era. And the way that they're able to use the Invisible Man does lead to some really cool sequences and some really cool, suspenseful, kind of freaky moments. But The Invisible Man for me did have a couple problems with it. So for all that stuff that I just talked about that worked for me, let's talk a little bit about the stuff that didn't. First of all, I felt the pacing could get really slow at times. I felt it took a little while for the Invisible Man to actually do something of significance. For a long portion of the movie, I felt it very repetitive of Elizabeth Moss's character looking around a room, not seeing anything but sensing that something's there and then nothing happening and moving on to another scene. I felt like that just got too repetitive too many times, and it took way too long for the Invisible Man to actually do something that felt like it mattered and had a weight behind what he was doing to torment Elizabeth Moss's character. Aside from the pacing that I thought could drag a little bit, I felt like the movie asked for a certain amount of suspension of disbelief, and I didn't feel like I could give the movie the amount that they wanted. There's a lot of logical and logistics in this movie that just didn't make sense to me. The Invisible Man is invisible, but he's also still just a man. He's human. He's just an invisible human. And there were things that this human could do that even when he was invisible, I felt didn't make a lot of sense and couldn't really happen. There were a couple times where Elizabeth Moss's character travels a lot of distances and then the Invisible Man is able to find her. And I just found myself having trouble believing that this one guy could get to all these places in the amount of time that he did, just being a regular human being. Apart from that, I felt like the movie was trying to have a psychological thriller aspect to it, but I feel like they didn't play it out long enough. They gave their cards up way too quick without giving too much away, so I'll give a slight spoiler warning right here, and I'll wave my hand when it's over. Ready? Slight spoilers now. Elizabeth Moss's character jumps to the conclusion that her boyfriend has turned himself invisible. I felt a little too early in the movie and way too soon. I kind of wish she felt more of like a supernatural thing was happening before she jumped to the conclusion that he was invisible. As you've seen from the trailer, she's led to believe that her boyfriend is dead. And so the fact that she jumped to the conclusion that he had turned himself invisible so quickly and kind of figured it all out really early on in the movie kind of took away the psychological thrillerness for me, and that was kind of disappointing. Okay, slight spoilers, over. But despite all those problems and kind of the mixed bag that Invisible Man could be for me, I still overall liked the movie. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. I thought Elizabeth Moss gave a good performance. I thought it had some twists and turns there that I actually didn't see some of which coming, and that was pretty exciting. And the Invisible Man stuff, when it gets really going, I think is really cool, a lot of fun, and they're able to do some pretty cool stuff with the special effects that I was really intrigued by. Overall, I didn't love The Invisible Man as much as I wanted to. I thought it was okay. I do think it's a movie that you could wait to see on Netflix. I don't think you need to rush out to the movie theater to see this one. But that's just my opinion. If you want to go check out the movie, by all means, please go check out the movie and make an opinion for yourself. And once you do, comment down below and let me know what you guys thought of The Invisible Man, because I want to hear all your thoughts and opinions, and I'd love to get a conversation started with you. I do commend Blumhouse Studios, Leigh Whannell, and Universal Studios for the groundedness that they brought to this quirky character of Invisible Man, and the seriousness that they gave this source material. Overall, I did have a good time. It just wasn't always the thrill that I was hoping to get. Anyway, guys, those are all my thoughts and opinions on The Invisible Man. And as always, guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video and checking out my channel. Until next time, my name's Zachary Milne. Thank you for talking movies with me, and hope you have yourself a great day.